Are you first, second, or third generation born in your country? If so, it may be worth considering getting dual citizenship for your home country and your country of heritage. Let's break it down as to why. Hi, my name's Alani Anahisi. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and a breakthrough life coach. On this channel, I help Black women to flourish and thrive through making major life changes and transitions. I help you to take the stress and strain out of all of it. If this sounds like something that's of interest to you, then stay tuned. Can I ask you to also hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons? It really helps the channel to grow. It takes a minute to do, but I'm eternally grateful for it. So let's get into it. So as you may know, I am a British citizen. I was born in the UK, and my family are of Jamaican descent. I have just gone through the process of applying for Jamaican citizenship, and I want to talk about that. I really want us to, open this conversation because I think not enough of us are even considering it as an option. So first of all, let's break it down. What is dual citizenship? I'm sure many of you know, but some of you may not. So dual citizenship is where you are just that. You have citizenship in more than one country. I believe there's actually no limit to how many you can have, providing that all the countries agree. Being a citizen of more than one country means that you are just that. You can live in either one of those countries. You are able to have access to the benefits and support from each of those countries. And you will also be eligible to have a passport for each of those countries. At this point, actually, I will note, though, not all countries accept dual citizenship. Most of the kind of typically Black countries do. I know the only country that kind of springs to mind is I know like Singapore, for example, doesn't allow dual citizenship. So if you're a citizen of Singapore, you can't go and apply for citizenship somewhere else. You have to renounce your citizenship in Singapore. But check with your home countries or the country that you're applying for or to, just to be sure, because you don't want to get yourself in any sticky situations. One question that's been posed to me a lot in this process, because I've been singing about it and ranting and raving about it, right? I've been telling everybody I know, get your dual citizenship, just apply for it, go for it, apply for it. And the question I continually get is why? What am I going to apply for that for? Why do I want to apply for a Jamaican passport? Because I got that British passport and that opens doors for me. So why am I going to go and get one backyard passport that ain't going to do nothing for me? Let's break that down, okay? Let's break that down. What we can sometimes do is get caught in this really kind of westernized way of thinking that anything that's English or anything that's American or anything that's kind of white is like really great. But there's value in our heritage. There's some strong value in claiming your heritage on multiple levels. In the past few years, we went through a set of circumstances that turned everything on its head, absolutely everything on its head, right? And there were so many of us in countries all over the world that were in some way dissatisfied with how local government, politicians, or national government made choices and decisions about what's going to happen to us, the people. So many of us were dissatisfied with at least one, if not a plethora of decisions that were made and things that were enforced or tried to be enforced. And some people quite literally took it to the streets and had to protest against things and really fought back against these changes happening. Okay, and listen, just as a caveat, I'm not saying any governmental or political movement was right or wrong. I ain't saying none of that, okay? That's for you to decide about your lives, okay? I have my own views about my life, you have yours. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. We don't know what circumstances are going to crop up tomorrow, next year, in the next 10 years, that will turn things on its head again. And I tell you, You do not want to be somebody who is stuck in a location when the Saturn hits the fan. It is better to have options of places to go in case the location that you're in becomes politically unsafe for you or unsafe in any way for you. It is important to give yourself options. Now, some people might be like, yeah, but why would I go back to Jamaica? Listen, get out of that colonial mindset. Stop it. Stop it. Number two, I am, as many of you are, a parent. And I can safely say that I believe that pretty much every parent wants their child to have as many options and possibilities for their lives as possible. I want my child to have as many doors open so that she can then decide, I want to go through that door, I want to go through that, I don't want to do that, or I want to do that. I don't know what she's going to choose for her life. But my job as a parent is to make it as open as possible, right? And that includes giving her the option to have citizenship and to live and reside wherever she may want to on this planet, or as far as possible, to do that as much as I can. So citizenship through heritage is limited. And this is a really important point. So Jamaica, for example, you can only go back as far as your grandparents. So my grandparents were Jamaican born. My mum and my dad were British born, which means if I don't claim Jamaican citizenship through my grandparents, my child and every generation after her can have no claim to Jamaican citizenship at all, unless they're going to go through some other avenue. And we'll talk about the other avenues in a minute. Remember, I don't know what's going to come in the future. My daughter might not want to be a Jamaican citizen, but her children may, or her children's children may. So let's keep these options open for our children. The other reason why I feel it is so imperative is because it's your birthright. That passport can sit there collecting dust and never be used. But I am somebody who was always of the belief that, listen, if it's my right to have it, I want to have it because I want to have the option. As I said, like for my children, for my child, I also want an option for myself. I want to have the option to use it. I want to have the option of saying, I want to use my Jamaican passport today. Because it's my birthright. It's my heritage. And there is value in my heritage. I am proud of where I come from. And I will be proud to call myself a Jamaican citizen. It's my family's lineage. Don't play. So look, listen, let's check it this way. If you do not get Jamaican citizenship, right? Say if you got, so for myself, right? If I don't get Jamaican citizenship, my daughter can't get it. If she then wanted to go and get Jamaican citizenship, the only way that she would be able to do that, as far as I know, right? Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, because I've only researched this as far as it's necessary for me. So I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I'm not an immigration lawyer. But as far as I know, the only other way that she would be able to get citizenship is by marriage to someone, to a Jamaican citizen. Or the only other route is to get residency in Jamaica, where she wouldn't be a citizen, but she'd get residency. And to get residency in Jamaica is not easy. It's not easy. So there is like residency by investment. And I think, I can't remember, but I think it's something like you need to invest like, is it $100,000 into Jamaica to be able to get residency? This isn't citizenship, this is residency. This is them just saying that you can live in the country, okay? $100,000. Another reason why getting your Jamaican citizenship is really useful is because it can open doors for you to get a CARICOM passport. So the CARICOM countries are a selection of 15 core countries and then 5 partner countries. So 20 countries in total that you have at your disposal in terms of places where you can live, work, do business with. It opens doors for you, right? Trying to do that as a British citizen is hard. So, and then you have those doors open for you. And it makes sense. So just what does it take to get a Jamaican passport? So let me talk you through the process of what I had to do, okay? Because mine was, my situation was typical, but not straightforward. So in order to get your Jamaican citizenship, you need to have a certain set of documents. And it's really important. They are, listen, when I say they're like particular, they're particular. So you need to have, so for example, for my grandma, went through my grandmother. So I needed to have her birth certificate, her marriage certificate, and I needed to have her, I had her current passport, but I don't know if I don't think they actually used that. I think it was just the birth certificate and the marriage certificate that they actually used. I needed to have my mum's, so whichever family route you're going through, you need to be able to prove how you connect to the person who was born in Jamaica. So I had to prove that my grandmother was related to my mother and my mother is related to me. So I needed to have essentially birth certificates and marriage certificates or whatever for each of them. And then I needed my passport as well to be able to show them who I am. So showing the documents, one thing that's they are sticklers for consistency. So all the names on each of the documents and all of the spellings must be the same. They must be the same. So how you apply is you go through the Jamaican High Commission. On the website, it states that you have to go to Birmingham to do that. You used to have to go to Birmingham to go to the Jamaican consul, but you don't do that anymore. At the moment, you go through the London High Commission, the London Jamaican High Commission, which is based in South Kensington. You make an appointment online. I'll drop the link in the description box. You just make an appointment online. They release appointments at certain points in the year. So it's every few months, they release all the dates for the appointments, and they'll say what the release date is on the website. Those appointments go within 2 days. Okay, 1 or 2 days, those appointments are all gone. So as soon as they release the appointments dates, jump online and make yourself an appointment. You can only make yourself one appointment. If they see your name repeated, they'll cancel all of your appointments. So anyway, so I went to the first appointment knowing that my documents didn't match up. I knew that the names were different. It's not illegal to do that. You can actually call yourself what you want to call yourself. But in terms of documentation, they all need to link up. And this is so common for back in the day, that names just didn't match up because there weren't all the checks that were done. Often people didn't even know their names and that kind of thing. So people just went by what people called them, what their families called them, nicknames and so on and so forth. So I went along for the appointment and spoke to the people there. There was one woman who was really, really nice. I forget her name, but she was really lovely. And she was like, look, it's straightforward. All you need to do is get a deed poll. And so I went through that process and it's so easy to do. So the deed poll cost, so it's £42, I believe, if it's just a straightforward name change. But because for both my mum and my my mum and my granny, we had to do 2 name changes on the deed poll. So you have to do 2 names. So it ended up costing, I think it was like £52 something or £53 something each for each of those to change the documentation. And it took a matter of days. So I did it. You can wait, it take a couple of weeks if you do it by normal post, or you can do an expedited post, which adds another £8 or £10 onto the price. You do it all online. You don't have to go anywhere. You do it online to do the deed poll. There are different deed poll services that you can use, but the only one that is recognized by, and I think they said it's by Jamaica, Nigeria, and Ghana, are deedpoll.org.uk. That is the only one. Don't go to anybody else. They're the only one. And I'm not affiliated with them in any way. If you don't know what to do, because there's specific things that you have to write, I would recommend calling up deedpoll.org.uk. Their numbers on the website. They are so helpful. I called them like 3 or 4 times. They're so helpful. And they'll talk you through everything. And it arrives at your door the next day. You have to get it. The person has to sign it. So my mum had to sign hers. My grandma had to sign hers. You then need to get it countersigned. And that just has to be a friend of the family. You can, if you want to then use it for official documentation, you can go and get it signed by a notary or a solicitor if you so choose, but you don't have to. So you then take those documents. If you don't have your birth certificate, you can apply for replacement birth certificates. I did this many, many years ago. It's, again, so easy to do. You just do it online. There's two ways to do it. You can do it through the central registry, which costs a little bit more, or you can just go to the local registrar of where your birth was registered. So, you know, I don't know, if you were registered in Westminster, for example, you would then go to the Westminster Registrar Office, you'd go online, make an application, and they would post you out an official replacement of your birth certificate. And those replacement birth certificates are recognized as being official for this purpose, for any purpose, really. You then need to complete a form online for citizenship, and you need to complete another form not online. You need to print out a form for citizenship, and you can apply for your passport at the same time at your appointment. Okay. The forms are really straightforward. They ask you really basic questions of what you need to fill in. You also need to provide 4 photographs of yourself, passport photographs. Now, please don't make the mistake that I made where I wasted up my money. They only accept, for Jamaican anyway, they only accept photos that are taken, like literally camera photos. If you go to the photo booth, like getting normal, regular passport photos, they don't accept those. And they're really strict about how your picture can and cannot look. So, for example, when I went for my picture, I had my hair up like this, and they were like, no, you got to take that down. Like, they have certain parameters of like the dimensions of where your head can sit. So you can't have, like, don't go with a big updo or anything like that, like this. Don't do it. You don't need to get your picture countersigned or anything like that. You know, if you're applying for a British passport, you'd have to do that. Okay, I'll talk about my experience in the Jamaican High Commission, because I don't know if you've ever been to the Jamaican High Commission. it's interesting. It's a bloody mess, is what it is. It's a mess. Okay, so you go to the building. It's a really nice building in South Kensington. It's I can't remember the name. I'll put the location on screen. You go there, you go through, you have to buzz in, and eventually they'll answer the buzzer. You tell them you've got an appointment, and you go through down the stairs at the back, and it's like the little conservatory area. It's like little double doors through there. You go through there, and then everyone's just there waiting. Okay, there's just going to be a pile of people. If you have an appointment and you are applying for citizenship, do not go to the 2 windows. Most people will be queuing to go to the 2 windows. You don't need to do that. You're going to waste your time if you stand there applying to go to the windows. What you need to do is listen out. Sometimes they will call your name. Sometimes they will call your name. But you really need to listen out for it. But where you need to go is immediately on your left. There's a door, and on the door there's a little sign that says appointments, and it will say citizenship and whatever else you're applying for, visas and whatever. You can go in there, and there's 2 counters that you can go to in there. So you have to go at your appointment time and go through the doors, and you'll see one of the people in there for your appointment. I do warn you now, it is a mess. Even if you have an appointment, the second time I went, I was there for like three and some hours, because they told me that they called my name and I wasn't there, and I didn't hear, and they said I was late. I was standing up in the place. They didn't call my name, but let's not even go. Not go there. Okay, let's just not go there. So I had to wait and wait and wait. Okay. They're not rude or anything. They're not rude. It's just a lot of waiting around. And there's no real kind of system. It is a bit of a mess, but it's doable. It's not to the point where you're going to be screaming and shouting and pulling your hair out. You just need to know, I've got to go through these double doors. Sometimes you have to be a little bit forward and just seize the opportunity as one person comes out. Just quickly dip yourself in and just say, I've got an appointment at such and such a time. Sometimes they'll see you. Sometimes they'll tell you to go back outside and wait. But you might have to be a little bit proactive in kind of going in for your appointment in there. Generally, they're quite nice. One guy was a little bit rude at a little point, but then he kind of fixed up and he was fine after that. They go through your documentation meticulously, okay, meticulously, again, looking for all the names and all the spellings, that everything links up. They check all the deed polls, make sure they're all dated, all signed, like all of that kind of stuff. They'll photograph all of your documentation. They'll take your pictures. And then you then have to pay. You can only pay by bank transfer after your appointment. So don't bother paying that before, because you don't know if your application is going to be accepted. They'll give you the details and you have to put your reference number in and make sure that it is the correct reference number. And once that's paid, then they send off your documentation. It takes up to 3 months for you to get your citizenship and your passport back after that date. It's a bit of a long process, but it's actually quite easy to do. Aside from the annoyance of sitting in there and, you know, them being a little bit disorganized, it's actually a really easy process to do. You make an appointment online. You might have to do a deed poll or whatever, which is all done online as well. You go to the appointment, give them your documents, pay the money, done. And then you just sit and wait for your passport to come back. Now, if we put that against, right, safe. So now, okay. So now I have my citizenship, my Jamaican citizenship. My daughter can have Jamaican citizenship and her children can have Jamaican citizenship. The lineage is continued, which then opens doors for future generations and future generations and future generations. If I juxtapose that with, if I didn't have Jamaican citizenship, my daughter wanted to get it, she would have to pay the £100,000 by investment or marry a Jamaican to be able to get Jamaican citizenship. She might not ever want to live in Jamaica, but she might want to spend time in Trinidad, or she might want to go to Barbados or Cayman Islands, or is the Cayman Islands on it? I don't think the Cayman Islands even on it, or wherever she might want to go. Belize, you know. And I think it's important that we open these doors for our children and for ourselves. It's a really simple, easy, straightforward process. But like I say, cover your back, give yourself options, give your children options, because we just don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. If you have any questions about the process, or you know, want to clarify anything, just drop me a comment in the comment box below. Or indeed, what are your thoughts about getting a Jamaican passport, or you know, a passport for your own country of heritage? Do you see value in it? Do you think it's not necessary? Yeah, I just think and the cost of it, the cost of the passport, the citizenship and the passport together was £184. No, £154, £154, something like that. To get a Jamaican passport and my citizenship. £154. If you want to factor in the deed polls as well, the 2 deed polls were £110 between them. So £264 to get citizenship in another country. I can now go and live in Jamaica if I want to. I can have an extended time in Jamaica. I don't have to worry about anything. I can start a business in the Caribbean if I want to. I can then apply for CARICOM passport and I can travel around the Caribbean for as long as I want. I mean, there are some parameters around that, but it opens doors. And that's the main point of this. So I urge you to go out, apply for your citizenship, try and get it. I did it through my grandmother. I could have done it through my paternal grandmother also. I could have, I also believe it is possible to do it through deceased, you know, people who are deceased. So if your grandparents are no longer alive or your parents are no longer alive, you can still do the process. You just need to have the correct documentation for them. I don't know how it works. I'm sure there's obviously a way. If you have a grandparent who is deceased, for example, and their names don't match up, I'm not quite sure what you do in that situation, but I imagine there's a way through it. There's a way forward. When I rocked up with my documentation, I wasn't sure. So I spoke to them. I spoke to the UK deed poll. I actually also called, what are they called now? The Jamaican registration, is it RGB? You know, where you register birth, marriages and deaths in Jamaica, right? I called them up as well and spoke to them about what is best for me to do. They were really nice as well. But yeah, like it's just worth doing. You know, it's something that's so easy to do, but can open doors for yourself and your family. So why not? Why not do it? All right. So yeah, I hope you found that useful. I really do hope some of you go out there and apply for your citizenship. Encourage others to do it as well. Again, if you are not successful through one grandparent, you can always apply through a different one. So if you try through your grandmother, for example, and that, you know, you find that, oh no, it's not possible for whatever reason, you can apply for this. Oh, the other thing I want to talk about, the other thing I want to touch on as well is this fear, okay? The fear. So my grandparents came to the UK legitimately in the 1950s, okay? Came in a time where paperwork was just like, you know, it was questionable. But we've all heard of, you know, these cases of people being sent back to Jamaica or to other countries after being here for 50, 60 years because, you know, they've found that there's something wrong with their application, or they didn't apply properly, or they didn't even apply for citizenship. And they get sent back to Jamaica. And that can really evoke, particularly for older people, that can really evoke fear. So my grandmother, even though she came here legitimately, her initial thought was, oh no, what? Wait, they've been sending people back, deporting people to Jamaica. I don't want to get deported. And that's the initial thought that's going to be coming up for a lot of the older generation when you talk about, you know, citizenship and getting documents checked and changing names and all of that kind of stuff. It can be really scary for them. And obviously, I don't know individual circumstances, but I would just say open those discussions. Once I spoke to my granny about the process, what it involves, what it doesn't involve, you know, that she's not going to be going back. That's why I called, and I called Jamaica to check for her and ask questions on her behalf because she had certain fears, you know, and those fears are warranted for, you know, for someone who's been here for all of that time, and particularly when they came to the UK in a certain way, it could be really scary thinking about, hold on, if you rock this boat, what happens if they think that we made a mistake and they send us back, or they send me back? I would really urge you to have those conversations with your elders or with your family, open the dialogue, get them to ask questions, and then put those questions to official bodies. You can call up anonymously, you know, and say, look, I'm just making an inquiry about blah, 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 blah. And they'll answer your questions. Okay. But if you don't ask and if you don't inquire, you will never know. And that door will definitely not be open for you. Okay. So yes, get out there, please go and apply for your citizenship. See if you're eligible. And this isn't just for Jamaica, wherever your family are from, whether your family are from places in Africa, whether your family from, I don't know, Guyana or, you know, Japan, I don't know. Apply for your citizenship. It's worth doing. All right. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you on the flip side.